Yoshi P recently revealed Final Fantasy XVI will be 30 to 40 hours long rather than the 50 to 60 hours of previous Final Fantasy entries. Naturally, some people aren't super happy about this, but I'm here to tell you that it's a good thing, actually. It's good for you, for Square Enix, and good for the industry, and why more people should probably consider following suit. But before that, I'm here to tell you about today's sponsor, Red Art Games, and their physical release of Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. I've already talked about how much I loved my time with Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, and now thanks to Red Art Games, you can get your hands on a real physical release of the game for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5. It's only about 35 euros, which is a little less than 35 US dollars right now, and if you pre-order the game today using my link in the video description, you not only support me and my show, but you also get some incredible bonuses, including a set of 3 Eiyuden Chronicle Rising trading cards and the Eiyuden Chronicle Rising soundtrack CD. That's right, if you pre-order the physical release of the game, they'll just throw in a physical copy of the soundtrack because Red Art Games is just so cool. They're a small company passionate about publishing high-quality physical releases for fans and collectors. So go pre-order Eiyuden Chronicle Rising today and consider bundling in other games coming soon like Demon Gaze Extra to save on shipping and sweeten the deal. Eiyuden Chronicle Rising releases physically on January 26. Thank you Red Art Games for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Let's start by squashing the myth that longer RPGs are better value, because while it's a cliche phrase at this point, there's a lot of truth in it. Time is money. The phrase sounds like a throwaway line from a bad movie to help illustrate a workaholic father and husband as they rush out the door to forget an important anniversary or something. But it's useful to keep in mind the value proposition of a video game, especially particularly long ones like RPGs. You hand a developer $60 and they provide you 60 hours of entertainment or so. Some long time ago, people started taking for granted that entertainment should be measured in hours, a false equivalence that even I'm guilty of from time to time. So when I hear that a game will be half as long, the knee-jerk reaction is to be upset that the value of the game is cut in half. However, the opposite is actually true. Because when people started advertising the duration of RPGs as a selling point, guess what happened? Developers started inflating their hours of duration with filler, backtracking, and monotony. They found ways to dilute the experience to fill more hours. These games were just as entertaining overall, they just took longer. So instead of looking at it as a relationship between the cost of a game and the value in terms of hours, let's use a pseudo-Drake equation to estimate the values and get an understanding of the actual relationship here. Let's assume that an average game provides 100 units of entertainment and it costs you about $60 to get your hands on it. But it also costs you money in terms of time. Assuming time is worth at least $15 an hour or so, it's actually going to cost you close to $1,000 of total to extract 100 units of entertainment. Let's call that a 10-to-1 ratio. The two ways of improving the value proposition are to 1. Increase the number of entertainment units that the game can provide, basically just make the game better, or by decreasing the number of hours that it takes to extract that value from the game by distilling the experience into its purest form. Let's try making the best game ever. It provides 150 units of entertainment, but it still takes 60 hours to extract. The ratio is now 6.6 to 1. That's a pretty incredible improvement, right? But what if we simply took an average game that provides 100 units of entertainment and just distilled it down to a 30-hour experience instead? 100 units of entertainment for $500 of game time is a staggering 5-to-1 ratio. Now, obviously, this is an oversimplification that doesn't take certain factors into consideration. The time spent simply being exposed to characters that deepens your emotional connections to them. The fact that there are lower bounds to how short a game can be while still telling an incredible story. But this has been the case for all other forms of media for ages. Writers of books and directors of films have had to learn that longer does not mean better. In the words of Shakespeare, saying things shorter is better and funnier than when you take a longer time to say them, I guess. And also, just because we're breaking it down into terms of time and money doesn't mean that the alternative is to work your butt off or something. You could also be spending that time with your friends, your family, playing different games that offer better value propositions. Time, unfortunately, is finite. it has value. And money just happens to be an easy way to attach a concept of value to time. So I think it's a pretty good illustration of why shorter games are better for you personally, in a sort of nebulous way, but to sort of summarize the whole thing in sort of a human way, if a game can be just as good in less time, then you can enjoy more games or other things in your free time, having extracted more distilled enjoyment during your time with said game. And as a side note, in this context of an RPG currently costing you like $1,000 in both terms of time and money, that $60 price tag on the shelf in a game store seems kind of insignificant now, doesn't it? But let's take a look at why it's good for Square Enix specifically. They've been releasing a ton of RPGs lately, many of which are dozens and dozens of hours long. Triangle Strategy, Tactics Ogre Reborn, Star Ocean The Divine Force, Harvestella, just to name a handful. They have so many games on the horizon that there are literally releasing more games faster than we can play them. This inherently means that they are in serious danger of competing against themselves, which is a competition they cannot win. RPG fans are currently a niche group of players, and our time is often saturated. It's a fantastic problem for us to have because now we are spoiled for choice. But invariably, games you and I would love to play and enjoy will slip through the cracks because we're currently playing one game, and by the time we're done, 3 others have passed and there's already a new shiny one coming out tomorrow, and I gotta make sure I play that one. I'll get to those other ones eventually, and now I've already forgotten about the 3 awesome RPGs that came out in 2021 that I meant to play but couldn't get to it in time. This is a huge problem for Square Enix because people who can't play all of their games aren't buying all of their games. So how will making shorter games help? This seems pretty obvious now, right? Making a game shorter means that you have more time to play other games of theirs. The less time you spend playing Triangle Strategy, the more time you'll have to play Octopath Traveler 2 next year. But for the industry as a whole, this would have far-reaching consequences. Shorter RPGs across the board would mean increased sales for all developers of RPGs and an ever-increasing enjoyment yields for RPG fans who are continually getting higher proof RPG content at increasingly higher rates. 25-hour RPGs are becoming the norm again, and now there's a broader shift happening on a larger scale. Let me tell you guys something. The biggest barrier to entry for non-RPG players isn't the anime, it's not the grind, and it's not the turn-based combat. The Pokemon franchise is single-handedly the largest gaming franchise in all of existence right now, and it has turn-based RPG combat. People love this stuff. When I recommend people that they try Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, they ask, how long is it? And then we already know what the problem is. If you tell someone that Octopath Traveler is fantastic and they should give it a shot, they might say, wish I could, but I don't have time for that. We know what the problem is. Right now, RPGs have a well-earned reputation for not respecting player time. And many of the fans who grew up playing them no longer have summer breaks stuck at home alone with time to fill with nothing but 100-hour video games. They have jobs, spouses, children, mortgages, and so on. They still love playing games, but they just don't have the time, which is why one of my most popular videos was talking about how to beat RPGs and defeat your backlog. But now the industry is figuring out that if they make shorter RPGs instead, they can sell more copies to us diehards. They start respecting our time again. RPGs are short again, and the reputation of RPGs shift from the old days of 100-hour RPGs to the new, tight, well-edited, condensed, epic experiences that they have always been able to be. Studios can now start experimenting with new ideas because development time is cut and not every release has to be a make-or-break AAA proposition anymore. And that's when the floodgates open. Old fans of RPGs start to rekindle their relationship with single-player RPG experiences once again in the time that they have on the train or on lunch breaks. Once daunting experiences become welcome distractions from everyday life, RPGs fulfill their destiny as the legends once foretold, and we finally get to enter a true lasting golden age of role-playing games. We achieve world peace, obtain enlightenment as a species, and finally get our collective act together and explore outer space. I am SuperDerek. I make thoughtful and thought-provoking videos for gamers who love RPGs and would love to see us enter that golden age together. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, everyone.